Good morning, folks. Jim Marinelli here with Electrodyne Systems. I'm going to be walking through a presentation this morning regarding liquid intrusion detection and how it can move an elevator to a safe landing when required. I'd like to get right into the presentation, if I may. What is liquid intrusion detection? Liquid intrusion detection is a unique system that senses a liquid intrusion event and moves elevator cars to predetermined mid-level landings to prevent damage to the elevator components and counterweights. It's comprised of three separate components. The system is, that is. The first is the pit float switch. If you'll notice, we have basically a small handy box. It's got a wire coming out of the top, which is located here. And then at the bottom of the box, you see a small protrusion. This is actually the float switch. This clear plastic is the float, and when the float is moved to the top of the little stem, it activates. And when it activates, that signal is sent to the machine room. It is sent to the machine room by the pit switch control. Now, pit switch control is comprised of two basic components. The first and most important is the universal power supply that powers up the switch, and also a small relay. When the switch trips, this small relay, which is the second part of the pit switch control, this relay energizes, it closes a circuit, and that circuit is sent back to the LID control interface. This third section of the system is mounted in the machine room, and when it receives a signal from the pit switch control, it picks up these 5 relays, and of course, once those relays are activated, the elevator is forced into a specific protocol. The elevator will be returned to a mid-level landing, the doors will open, and the car will be shut down until the system is either manually or automatically reset, but we'll get into that in a moment. This graphic gives you an idea of how everything would mount, how the system would mount. The pit float switch obviously is at the bottom. Above that, on a 12-foot tether, is the pit switch interface board, which houses the power supply and relay. And then thirdly, and most important, is the control interface board that's mounted in the controller in the machine room. Now, let's take a look at the installation overview. The pit float switch is installed at an appropriate height above the pit floor, typically several inches. The pit switch is connected to the switch interface board, located in the hoistway as well. The switch interface board is wired to the control interface board, which is located in the motor room. It seems like a pretty simple system to connect up. And actually it is. In the worst scenario, 4 wires are needed to connect the LID pit equipment to its motor room equipment. 2 wires provide signaling between the controller and the pit interface board, and 2 wires supply power to the pit interface board. There are 2 ways an installer can arrange for the system to be reset once activated. The first way, and the way it is sent from the factory, is to reset in the machine room by physically resetting the main line. In other words, you would have to shut the elevator off and restart the elevator once the pit switch was returned to its normal position, which means the fluid was removed from the pit. The second is a reset, or an automatic reset, and that occurs when the pit's float switch is lowered, which means that again the fluid has been removed from the pit. In the automatic reset mode, you don't have to go to the machine room, you don't have to reset the main line. The reset method can be selected by the installer. We always select and ship it out with the manual reset mode selected. But again, that can be changed by the installer at the time of installation. Now, what are some of the benefits of having a system like this? Well, Your customers have invested time and money into their building's elevator system and want to ensure their assets will be protected. If their building should encounter flooding, they could, at a minimum, encounter repair expenses between $30,000 and $60,000 or more per elevator. That's a substantial number. The second benefit is provided to the passenger. When the pit float switch is activated, it sends the signal to the controller to move the elevator to a predetermined landing chosen by the installer. The system then opens the elevator doors to allow passengers to exit. The car is removed from automatic service until repair crew can arrive and repair and clean or clean the liquid and reset the system. So this prevents a passenger from riding an elevator down into a flood situation. Now, one of the other interesting things about this system is, according to FEMA and NFIP, which stands for National Insurance Flood Program, they require proactive elevator management in the event of a flood. The Liquid Intrusion Detection system takes automatic action to move elevators to a safe landing if a flood event should occur. With this system, your customer can have peace of mind during a liquid intrusion event. This system fulfills the FEMA requirement and is absolutely a proactive elevator management tool. The NFIP eligibility for elevator systems. Let's take a look at that. As a prerequisite for participating in FEMA's recovery program, buildings must demonstrate that preventive measures were taken to mitigate flood damage. Buildings that neglect to protect their elevator asset risk out-of-the-pocket repairs and/or replacement expenses. Again, our system fulfills that need for a proactive system that will protect the elevator. Now, how can Electrodyne help you? Well, we have sales brochures, marketing materials which can be designed with your company logo. We can fill quote requests within an hour. And we also have a try and buy demo program if you should choose to take that route. What is a try and buy demo program? Well, we'll send you out a demo unit that you are free to install on any system you choose. If the system works out well for you, you can pay the invoice. If it doesn't, we can part friends. Now, the next slide is showing us our typical LID brochure. If you'll notice, it talks about preventing liquid damage. And it goes to some length to show how you can minimize your risk of water damage to the elevator system. Now, the other side of that brochure also talks about what the unit can do in automatic action. It also talks about fast detection. At any rate, this is a nice little slick that can be used with your clients to demonstrate the system. Now, this brochure is interesting because this one can be customized for marketing material for your system. It can be customized with your company name and logo, both here in the body of the text and of course down here in the lower right hand corner. Now notice this is a nice little slick because it shows in the United States all the flood risk areas and where your building may fall. It also shows you under requirements. It goes into some length about the FEMA technical bulletins that we were talking about earlier. It actually quotes the bulletins and gives you the pages in the bulletin to locate the quotes so that nobody thinks we're making this up as we go along. This is an excellent piece and can be customized, again, with your company's logo and your salesperson's names. Now, the last thing we wanted to talk about was the printable survey form, which can be found on our website. You can fill this out on the website and send it to us electronically. You can print this out, bring it to the job, fill it out, and fax it to us, or scan it and email it to us as well. And this is a basic quote sheet. It, of course, requires a company name, address, all your company information on the top, and on the bottom, it requires a few small bits of information about the building. For instance, the building name, the type of the controller, the number of cars, and whether a job print is available or not. Why do we ask for a job print? Well, we like to see the job prints on jobs that we're doing for several reasons. The most important reason is we can engineer our system into the print so that when the system has been installed, it now complies with all the requirements of A17, requirements that what we have installed is reflected on the job print. That's a big requirement, and most inspectors look for that these days. So that's the first way that we can help you to comply with the code as well as install the system. The other reason is if we engineer the system based on the as-built prints that you supply, the installer's job will be much easier and much quicker. The installer will not have to sit and figure out how to wire it up because he'll have a blueprint. He'll have our pony sheets and marked up prints, which will take him step by step, terminal by terminal, through the installation. And you will find by utilizing that pony sheet setup and the fact that we're going to mark up the prints for you, you're going to find a serious reduction in install time. Are there any questions? If you have any questions, please feel free to email them to us here at Electrodyne at sales.electrodyne.com. Thank you very much for your kind attention to this presentation. And again, my name is Marinelli. Myself and my sales team would be glad to answer any questions you might have. Thanks for your kind attention. Have a nice day.